Throw hand!
Thanks for that introduction, guys. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rohan's Corner. And this week, I'm taking a break from what I was doing last week, which was the best Transformers deaths on screen, to talk about something different. And this week I'm talking about repaints.
More Starscream clones? How is that even possible?
Based on the unusually high level of Allspark energy emanating from Starscream, one can only assume that he somehow acquired several Allspark fragments and used their life-giving properties to bring the clones online.
Aren't you sorry you asked?
It's just non-stop repaints.
You second-rate clones aren't even worthy to breathe my exhaust fumes.
And we've all seen repaints in the long-term Transformers history, so many so that actually, if you counted up how many original Transformer molds we've had and how many are repaints, you'd probably find the numbers quite astonishing. I don't think anyone has ever done that calculation, but if you have, get in touch, let us know. And the reason I make this statement is because if you think about it, how many actual Transformers characters were repaints? And we go back to Generation 1, and actually there were quite a lot of repaints in Generation 1. It's just the way you think about those characters.
Oh, haven't you figured it out yet? He's a pathological liar. Each of us clones represents one aspect of your personality. He's a coward, he's an egomaniac, he's a suck-up, he's a liar!
I tend to think about original characters like the Seekers as being the main cases of repaints, but actually there are so many of them. Like, I've got a couple of examples here. Thrust is one of our Coneheads, who's technically a repaint of the Seekers with a little bit of retooling, not really much, from the original series, because they just flipped the head up really and changed the wings slightly. And technically we got 6 characters in that line from that toy, and then actually we got a load more toys out of that, because then did G2 repaints and so on and so forth, other color schemes. So how many actual toys did they make out of that one mold? Loads. And here's another example, the Datsun brothers, obviously 3 of them in Generation 1, and then they've spawned their own little repaints over the years. And I've got another one here from Season 3, Runabout and Runamuck, obviously were repaints of one another. I mean, they are just everywhere. Here's another one, Red Alert. Here's another one, Ramjet. And some of those characters, I classify them as core. They're very important to me, so I wouldn't ever, if they did a redistribution of, for example, the Coneheads, I have to get all 3 of the original Coneheads, because they were, in my mind, distinct characters, distinct color schemes that I affiliate with and I have a real attachment to, and they're not repaints to me, they're individual characters. Whereas something like the G2 Sandstorm character or toy is just a repaint to me because I've got no affiliation to it. However, I know that there's a lot of guys out there who do really enjoy those toys.
But it's completely like you to hide behind an army of cheap knockoff.
And they do have a true affiliation to it. And maybe some of that is from comics, or maybe it's from other kind of lore, or maybe it's from, movies, or who knows. But there's so much out there. So really my question to you, all of you this week, is repaints. How do you feel about repaints? And how do you feel about having to pay through the nose for specific ones, because Hasbro are taking the mickey and actually releasing them so exclusively that it's hard to get hold of particular ones, and still is hard to get hold of particular ones. Throughout the Unicron trilogies, they went a bit mad with these repaints, having several different copies of the molds being recolored and so on and so forth in different shades. And then they reused them in the movies as well. They're not even characters from the movies. They just slap a new color scheme on it, sometimes even slap a brand new name on it. And it's led to even third parties doing the same thing with repaints of the same characters for no reason sometimes. Sometimes it's for good reason. I mean, I've got, for example, DevCon, based off of the MFT Scourge mold, Barricade, how many repaints did we get of that guy, so on and so forth. They're just everywhere. And we've had repaints from the smallest of figures, like your Generation 1 Bumblebee being recolored in multiple different colors and sold out in the Minibot line, all the way up to the largest scale characters like the Black Zarak or Fortress Maximus, Metroplex being recolored into Mitro Titan, so on and so forth. And even so to speak with the third-party toys these days, you see that Studio Cell have reissued, as you saw on the show last week, their Unicron toy in a new color scheme, and now we're going to get it in a slightly grayer shade, and it's already made me think, shall I sell my original one, which I've already sold once, to get a new one, because actually I prefer that color scheme. It's only a slight difference, but it makes all the difference in your mind. On a separate note, one of our esteemed community members and an old friend of mine, Big Phil Donaldson, has had some medical news has come out, and we'd just like to all wish him from Transformers the Show a big good luck and hope you get well soon as part of that, just to ensure that the community all stays together, and wish him well. And with that, I will end Rohan's Corner for another week. Thank you for joining me. Back to the studio.
Hey boys, we've been rumbled. Well, let's bounce.